Hey guys, it's Steve for CollectorMania. Continuing on our 32 series, we've got Naya up now. So this is actually one of my favorite decks. I know I say that pretty much about every deck, but this is literally one of my favorite decks. Which is kind of funny because I've never really cared for the Naya color pair, so it took me a while to find something that actually worked for me. As you'll see, this deck is just goofy, and it is a ton of fun, and I don't know, played a lot of games with it and won a lot of times with it just because of the goofy kind of way it works. So it is a partner commander deck. Our feature card here is Sidar Kondo of Jamurra. I think that's how you say that. So he's a 2 colors, a green and a white, and he has flanking, which is an ability that we haven't seen in millions of years. So whenever a creature without flanking blocks this creature, that blocking creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn. That's generally not going to come up because I rarely swing with this guy. So anyway, he's a 2/5. Creatures your opponents control without flying or reach can't block creatures with power 2 or less, and that's what we're focused on with this guy. The deck is built around this, so it's pretty important. The other side of this is Tana the Bloodsower, and honestly, I think Wizards put these two to be put together. I know I think they came in 2 different commander products, but I think their intention was to actually play these guys as a pair. So 2 colors, a red and a green, elf druid, 2/2 with trample. It reads, whenever Tana the Bloodsower deals combat damage to a player, create that many 1/1 green sapling creature tokens. So if you look at it, you can already see the synergy between these two. Sidar lets Tana swing in without the downside of being blocked. Tana generates a bunch of little guys for you, and that is the focus of the deck in a nutshell. Moving on from our commanders, let's jump into creatures here. First up, we've got Jade Mage. Just a really good way to generate a ton of little guys. Looks like Eric's struggling to find the image of Jade Mage, so I'll read it off for you for a second. So colorless and a green, human shaman, 2/1. Pay 3, you generate a 1/1 green sapling creature token on the battlefield. It looks like we don't have an image for Jade Mage. Oh, no, we got it. Okay. Really good way to generate a bunch of tokens on the end of somebody's turn if you have just a bunch of mana open. And as you'll see, there's a lot of ways to ramp in this deck, so it just is a great card, a great include there. On from that, we have a Selfless Spirit. Just a great way to protect your army, because this is token-based, so you are not going to be able to get away with effects like Ghost Away or Area Interlude. So you really need ways to just get your things indestructible. So when that random Wrath of God or Supreme Verdict comes up, you just have a way to protect yourself. So, and 2/1 flyer, definitely pretty good. Just get in there for a little bit of damage as well. On from that, we've got a Sunhome Guildmage, another really good token generator, but the key factor here is the pump ability. So what you're trying to do with most of the pieces of this deck is swing in with a bunch of tokens and then generate after blocks are declared, or pump them up. So pay 3, so a colorless, a red, and a white. You pump creatures you control get +1/+0 until end of turn. So you have 6 mana laying around. I mean, you can pump everybody by 2. So really good. Once again, great token generator, and a card that I don't think is played a whole lot, just because it's not on anybody's radar really. And then we've got Goblin Rabblemaster up next. This is another one of those cards that I think it works well in goblins, of course, because it has the upside of just giving goblins power and stuff like that. Not a lot of people probably play it just because your tokens your goblin creatures have to attack each turn. But with this, it doesn't really matter because they're not going to be blocked, so you're not losing anything by doing that. Yeah, I guess potential blockers, but you're going to have plenty of other creatures to do that with, so nice to include here. And then we've got Dosen the Falling Leaf. Not only is he a 2/2, but it says players can play spells only during their own turns. So there are a few ways to just win the game in this deck, just by playing 2 spells. So this is a really good way to make sure that you can't get disrupted. So you just play this the turn before, or even the turn on, you're looking to combo off, I guess. And then you pretty much got the game on lock. So there is that. And then of course Mentor of the Meek, we're playing a ton of little guys, so you're going to be able to generate a ton of card advantage with this guy. Okay, and then we've got kind of our creature that's equivalent to Tana and Spawn Wraith. So you swing, you generate another token of itself. You swing with those 2 tokens, you generate 2 copies of itself. So it just gets out of hand really fast. Plus, being a 2/2, it works right into what we're trying to do. It's got trample, so if you want to pump it up, you can make it an even bigger threat. You know, if for some reason they have blocks and you've made your creatures bigger than, you know, what the ability is. So there are a few ways, but we'll get to that, and you gotta kind of be careful there. And then we've got there's debate about how to say this guy's name, but Jazal Goldmane, something like that. Anyway, a Johnny's brother. We'll just call him that. 2 colorless, 2 white, first strike, and this guy has another one of those pump abilities. He's 3 colorless, 2 white, or for the activated ability. Attacking creatures you control get +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the number of attacking creatures. So this can get really out of hand really, really fast. Say you're swinging with 10 guys, now all of a sudden you are just killing everyone. You know, of course you do the pump after blocks are cleared, so you get through scot-free and you just kill everybody. So just tear their faces off. Okay, and then we've got a really good token generator, Master of the Wild Hunt. So this guy generates you a 2/2 token at the beginning of each of your upkeeps. Really, really good. Secondary ability, tap all untapped wolf creatures you control, and essentially you can have those wolves fight a creature. So really, really good. 3/3. I know it kind of plays out of what we're trying to do with Sidar, but generating those tokens is really, really important. So plus awesome artwork. I just can't get over this thing.
They need to reprint that card.
Yeah, such a good card. He should have been legendary. He really should have been. Gosh. Another missed opportunity, Wizards. Anyway, on from that, once again, going token strategy, we've got Pophros, God of the Forge. Really good way to finish your opponents off pretty quick. You know, if you're making 3 tokens, dealing everybody 6 damage, and then swinging with those tokens next turn with them not being blocked, yeah. And plus with just Tana, this card is insane. So really, really good. And then we've got a way to get back our little guys. We've got Revelark. There are a ton of creatures that meet the criteria for this being just evoked and then bringing your threats back, essentially, which is kind of funny. Once again, this is kind of out of what normal people would, I guess, be playing. So there's so many little guys that are just so important that Revelark just makes 100% sense. After that, we've got a Dragon Lair Spider. This is another really good way to just generate a ton of little guys just to swing with next turn. So especially, you know, going around a full turn cycle with this thing on the board, oh man, that can be pretty devastating. So Dragon Lair Spider. And here's another, I guess, instant speed pump effect in Great Oak Guardian. Interesting card. It's got flash, reach, 4/5 for 6. When it enters the battlefield, creatures you control get +2/+2, and then you untap them. So it's a great way to generate blockers. You know, defensively and offensively, the card is great. Because keep in mind, like, your opponents don't get Sidar's ability, so they still can't swing at you, but you can swing at them, and they can swing at your opponents. It's kind of weird. So interesting. Great Oak Champion, or Guardian, sorry. And then we've got Kamal, Fist of Kroza. This is another one of those insane cards that just pumps your team up for not a whole lot of cost. The other upside of this is that you can kind of be a little bit tricky. If somebody goes to like board wipe and you just want them out of the game, you just turn all their lands into creatures, and then they're pretty much out of the game at that point. You know, if they can't cast their spells, then what are they doing? So anyway, really cool card. And then we've got a Soul of Theros, another one of those pump effects. This guy's really, really good because he can give you that lifelink, and then, you know, as another upside, it gives you first strike. In addition to that, you can actually use his ability from the graveyard. So really, really cool card. It can be kind of surprising. Sometimes you can catch your opponents off guard, especially if they kill it early, forget that it has that second line of text, and then you just use it from the graveyard and kill everyone. So as you can see, I really, really like this deck, and there's a lot to say about a lot of these cards. So this might be a longer video than what we're used to. Okay, so on from creatures, we've got our artifacts. A key one is Meekstone. This really just ruins your opponent's days. Just because most of the time, you know, they're going to try and kill you once they realize your strategy, which is just swinging at them with little guys, and they're going to start like throwing their big guys at you. So just being able to keep those guys tapped and not have that threat looming over you, really, really good. And it affects you literally 0. So just a great card to include. And then we've got a alternate kind of win condition in Throne of the God Pharaoh. Eric is shaking his head right now because Yeah, we've had a few decks that have had this in here, but I think this deck probably utilizes it more than anything else. It will just win you the game out of nowhere. You just tap a bunch of guys, swing at somebody, and then all of a sudden you just have dealt everybody like 15 damage just casually at the end of your turn. So there is that, and then onto our enchantments. We've got a Bower Passage. So creatures with flying can't block creatures you control. So just another way to kind of double up on that type of effect. So this plus Sidar just, oh gosh, no one's blocking anything. It's just crazy. So that's Bower Passage. And then we've got our second Pofros and Impact Tremors. So anytime you generate a little token, you're dealing 1 damage to everybody. Can't really go wrong there, to be honest. I mean, yeah, it's just awesome. Okay, and then we've got Fires of Yavimaya. So this is great for generating, great for giving your generated creatures tokens haste. You can usually just kind of, pour a whole bunch of mana into like your what am I trying to say? Your elf chick or your human chick, your jade mage. Jeez. Generate a whole bunch of tokens. Now they have haste. Plus, when they go to combat, after blocks are declared, you can just sacrifice to give all of them +2/+2. So, I mean, just in this one card, you've got a ton of tricks that you can do. So, Fires of Yavimaya. Great way to just have a spell that's sitting on standby, I guess you'd call it. Okay, and then one of the best cards of the deck, especially if you just have Sidar and Tana on the board, you can just win the game with Breath of Fury. Because what happens is you swing in with Tana, you generate a token, you enchant the token, you swing in with Tana, you generate a token, you put the enchantment on the token. So essentially you're just getting infinite combat phases by just enchanting the tokens. And then just swinging again. So it's pretty dirty. I've done it a few times. It's definitely a combo that I wouldn't generally play, but in this deck I think it's fair because I'm playing with a bunch of 1 and 2 power creatures. So yeah, take that. And then we've got a Wolf Caller's Howl. A really cool way to kind of generate a bunch of wolves again, so it works with the Master of the Wild Hunt. And then I don't know, it's just a fun way to watch your control opponent like struggle in their head about like, what should I do? Like, he's just going to keep getting wolves because of my hand. It's just like, just crazy card. So anyway, really cool. I recommend it in these types of decks, of course. Then we've got another linchpin card in True Conviction. This makes it so you don't care that you have a bunch of 2/2s or 1/1s, because now they have double strikes, so they're just nailing your opponents anyway. And then on top of that, you throw in a lot of those instant speed effects where you just, make them monsters all of a sudden. Like this and like Jazal or whatever, Johnny's brother, as we discussed, in combination is just a nightmare. Because now that 10 creatures that you're swinging with is turning into 20 power. Yeah, I don't even want to think about it. That's just like apocalypse right there. You're basically just going to win the game right there. So, True Conviction, you lay this down and just win the game. So, the strategy with it is to hold it in your hand until you need it. And that's usually what I would say. The hard part is, of course, the 3 white. We have a ton of dual lands to kind of get around that, but, sometimes it can be tricky. Really, really cool card, though. Okay, so on from our enchantments, we're moving on to our instant speed spells. Big one is Arachnogenesis. I use this card very defensively in most of my decks, but in this it's actually very offensively. So you just wait until somebody's swinging at you with a big enough threat to care about, and then just generate a ton of tokens, and then next turn you're probably just going to kill them. So really, really effective, really, really good fog. If you're looking for a fog effect, this is probably where I'd go first, because you get those spider tokens, regardless, and you're preventing combat damage regardless. If you can somehow pump those spider tokens when they swing into them too, you're just killing their, attackers at the same time. So really, really cool card. And then back to what we were talking about with the Selfless Spirit. We need ways to give our creatures indestructible, because that's token's big drawback, is that if you get board wiped with all your tokens on the board, you're probably pretty much sunk. So, Rootborn Defenses, plus you get a Populate trigger, so if you have a really cool token on the board, you can just generate another one, like a Spawn Wraith or something like that. So, really, really cool card. And then some of the best removal that's been printed lately, Sylvan Reclamation. It's got exile up to 2 target artifacts and or enchantments on it. Really, really good. Costs 5 mana. It also has basic land cycling, so early in the game, if you just need your white source, you can just cycle this and go grab it if it comes to that. Generally, I don't try and do that, but I definitely have in a pinch before. Really good removal, though. Okay, so on to our sorceries. We've got Harvest Season. Yeah, this card is bonkers in this deck because I mean you're attacking with a bunch of 2/2s or whatever early on in the game, and then you just play this. I mean, I've done it for 3, I've done it for 10. You know, it goes anywhere in that range. Can grab you a ton of lands from your deck and just put you way ahead of everybody else. Really happy they printed it. Okay, and then we've got a Dust to Dawn. This is a board wipe that was hand-tailored for this deck, in my opinion. As soon as I saw it on Spoilers for Amonkhet, I was just like, wow, Wizards cares about me somehow, for some weird reason. It's one of those Aftermath cards, so it's 2 colorless, 2 white on its first side, destroy all creatures with power 3 or greater. Really, really good. Doesn't hit either one of our commanders. Pretty much leaves our board intact. There are a few creatures that'll die because of it, but, whatever. Second side, Dawn, sorcery speed as well. 3 colorless, 2 white. I'm going to turn the card here. Aftermath, of course. Return all creature cards with power 2 or less from your graveyard to your hand. So now you're not only wiping the board, but you're getting back whatever they have killed, in previous turns. Really, really cool card. I can't say enough about it, especially in a deck like this. Okay, so on from that, we are on to our lands, and I featured 2 here. First one up is Exotic Orchard. So anytime you're playing like 3, 4, 5 colors, it's actually just an effective land, because at that point, more or less likely, one of your opponents is going to have a color that you need. You sit down and you're playing against Gruul. Now this land taps for 2 colors that you have in your deck. So just a nice dual land that's relatively cheap. I don't think it costs anything, hardly. So just a nice pickup, nice budget version for, 3+ color decks. I wouldn't really care to run it in 2 color decks, definitely not in monocolor decks, because you really just don't need it. Unless you're playing strategies like, I don't know, like Send Triplets or something like that, then it kind of makes a little bit more sense, even though they've changed that rule a little bit. The other card that I'd like to feature here is Kessig Wolfrun. Going back to our instant speed pumps, after blocks, you just pump something up to make it absolutely ridiculous and just finish somebody off or deal them enough damage to put them into a range where they are threatened by you, so on and so forth. So Kessig Wolfrun, really cool card. I know that back in the day when I was playing Standard and there was the Inferno Titan, Primeval Titan Wolfrun deck, I hated this card. Lauren, which you've probably seen in a few videos on this channel, played that deck until it was boring, and I got over it pretty quick. So I was just like, okay, Lauren, we can change it up now. So anyway, Kessig Wolfrun, really, really cool card. Another really cheap land that you can pick up pretty much anywhere. So with that is my partner deck, my Naya deck, the one of the loves of my life, I guess I'd say. So anyway, with that, like, favorite, subscribe, and we will see you next time. Thanks, guys.